This is the second of two videos on selling online. In the first video, we gave a very high-level overview of some of the issues you need to think about in B2B and B2C contracts. I also encourage you to look at the videos we have on consumer law and digital products, which look in a bit more detail around some of those consumer law issues in particular. In this video, we're going to look at some of the regulatory traps that do occur when selling online that sometimes people don't think about. The first of those is financial services law. Mobile payments and online payment methods are an incredibly fast developing market, and lots of new and innovative products are hitting the market. To get scale, those products are typically cross-border, ideally, and also involve a variety of things such as gift cards and vouchers. Those sorts of models can trigger local financial services regulation. It is always advisable whenever we're talking about a consumer exchanging value that you check whether or not we trigger financial services regulation. Why is this important? Well, quite often financial services regulation carries incredibly heavy penalties, often criminal as well. So it's an area of regulation that sometimes people stumble into without wanting to. Second, broadcast, or what's often called AVMS regulation. Now this may seem a little bit strange, but if you take a step back and look at where this started, in the offline world, broadcasters were regulated and the content that they pumped out was regulated. That broadcasting channel is now increasingly moving online, and regulators are changing the laws to try and catch some of those online distribution methods. So if your product involves video, music, audio, you need to think about whether those broadcasting rules are triggered. If they are, you'll need to think about things like child protection, advertising rules, product placement, and all those things that one might usually associate with television and movies might now also apply in the online space. Third, telecoms laws. Now, telecoms laws used to be easy to apply. Most markets had 1, 2, after deregulation, May 3, 4, and 5 telecoms providers. In the online space, though, every little startup is providing a communications product. And the question is, does that product trigger local telecommunications requirements? There may be things such as data retention obligations, security requirements, requirements to comply and monitor and help law enforcement in their activities, and also local notification requirements. The level of formality and the onerousness of these obligations vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. But if your product engages a communications network or a communications function, it's worth checking out. Fourth, product labeling and environmental requirements. The nature of selling online means that you can go to many more markets much more quickly than you used to be able to do. But most markets have different rules around the labeling that's on their products, particularly around environmental rules. So if you are shipping physical product out into foreign markets and selling through an online sales channel, just get checked that you have the right certifications and labeling requirements ticked off. Fifth, copyright licensing. If your product involves film, music, text, any sort of content in that sense, you need to think whether the rights have been cleared for the markets where consumers are accessing it. This is often quite a complicated process, and you should talk to people about the types of rights which may be engaged, because you may need to talk to more than one party per product and per market. 6, data protection and geolocation rules. There's seldom a hotter topic in the market than these sorts of rules when it comes to online products and selling. There's a huge value in data and the collection of data when selling online, but we need to be clear about what we can do with it and whether or not we have the necessary consents to do it. And finally, tax. Always got to think about the tax implications of what you're doing. And here there are 3 things to keep in mind. The first is, does the act of selling into a market online create some sort of permanent establishment risk in that market that you weren't expecting? Second, what are the VAT rules or sales tax rules? If you're selling into different markets, it may be that you're required to apply a different VAT rate than you're required to apply from where you're selling from. And finally, withholding tax. This is an area of particular application to anywhere where there's a copyright royalty being paid, but also in other situations. So make sure that you check your sales model with the tax guys before you launch the product.